221. The One-Eyed Stone Man. After the reign of Emperor Chengzong of the Yuan dynasty, the imperial lineage passed through 9 more emperors. The internal power struggles within the royal family became increasingly fierce, and corruption in the government worsened. As a result, the common people suffered greatly. The last emperor of the Yuan dynasty, Yuan Shundi, also known as Yuan Huizong, ascended the throne, but he was indulgent and brutal. Under his rule, the national treasury was depleted, prices soared, and the people could no longer bear their suffering. This led to numerous peasant uprisings across the country. In Hebei, a peasant named Han Shantong emerged as a leader. His grandfather had been a teacher who secretly organized farmers to resist the Yuan dynasty under the guise of preaching. However, his activities were discovered, and he was exiled to Yongyan, now northeast of Handan, Hebei. When Han Shantong grew up, he continued his grandfather's mission by organizing the White Lotus Society, a secret religious group, and gathered many impoverished farmers who worshipped Buddha. He preached that the world was in chaos and that the Buddha would soon send Maitreya to descend and save the people. This prophecy spread rapidly across Hunan and the Jianghuai region, giving the people hope that salvation was near. At the same time, the Yellow River burst its banks at the Baimao Dike, coinciding with over 20 days of continuous rain, resulting in severe flooding that devastated the surrounding villages. Some officials suggested to the court that the breach should be sealed and that a new river channel should be excavated at Huanglingang, now southwest of Chao County, Shandong, to divert the water. In 1351, the Yuan dynasty conscripted 150,000 laborers from Bianliang, now Kaifeng, Hunan, and Daming, along with 20,000 soldiers, to work on the river excavation. The construction project began under harsh conditions. The laborers were forced to work day and night under the scorching sun and relentless rain. Meanwhile, corrupt officials embezzled the funds allocated for the project, leaving the workers with barely enough food to survive. Resentment and frustration grew among them. Han Shantong saw this as an opportunity to mobilize the people. He secretly dispatched hundreds of his followers to join the workforce as laborers and spread a folk song among them. A stone man with one eye stirs the Yellow River and the world rebels. The laborers did not fully understand the meaning of the verse, but hearing the phrase "the world rebels," they felt that change was imminent. As the excavation reached Huanglingang, a group of laborers suddenly unearthed a stone statue of a man. Out of curiosity, they gathered around and saw that the stone figure indeed had only one eye. They were stunned. The news of this discovery spread quickly among the 150,000 laborers. Many began to believe that the prophecy was coming true and that a rebellion was imminent. Unbeknownst to them, Han Shantong had secretly buried the stone statue there beforehand. The discovery ignited the people's revolutionary spirit. Han Shantong had an ally named Lu Futong, who suggested that since the Yuan dynasty was deeply hated, but the people still longed for the Song dynasty, they should declare a restoration of the Song to gain wider support. Han Shantong agreed and publicly claimed that his real surname was Zhao and that he was a direct descendant of Emperor Huizong of the Song dynasty, making him the 8th generation heir. Lu Futong similarly claimed to be a descendant of the southern Song general Lu Guangshi. Their declarations were so detailed and convincing that people readily believed them. Han Shantong and Lu Futong chose an auspicious day to initiate their uprising. They gathered their followers, slaughtered a white horse and a black ox as a sacrifice to heaven and earth, and proclaimed Han Shantong as their leader, giving him the title Ming King. They decided that the rebellion would begin in Yingshan, now part of Fuyang and Yingshan in Anhui, and they would wear red scarves as a symbol of the uprising. However, before their plans could be executed, someone leaked information to the authorities. The government dispatched troops to arrest Han Shantong, who was taken to the county office and executed. His wife managed to escape with their son, Han Lener, and went into hiding in Wuhan, now in Hebei. Lu Futong managed to escape the crackdown. He regrouped the rebel forces and successfully captured Yingshan and several other strategic locations. The former laborers at Huanglingang, upon hearing the news, killed the corrupt officials overseeing the project and joined Lu Futong's ranks. Because the rebels wore red scarves on their heads, they became known as the Red Turban Army, and their movement was recorded in history as the Red Turban Rebellion. Within just 10 days, their numbers swelled to over 100,000. The Yuan court, alarmed by Lu Futong's growing power, hastily mobilized 6,000 elite troops from the Xiongnu ethnic groups, known as the Acid Army, along with several Han regiments to suppress the rebellion. The Acid Army was once considered a formidable force of the Yuan dynasty, but by then, it had become deeply corrupt. The commanders were more interested in drinking and revelry, while the soldiers engaged in rampant looting. When they encountered the Red Turban Army, their general turned his horse and fled before a battle even began, shouting, "Abu, Abu," meaning run in their language. Seeing their leader flee, the soldiers also scattered in panic. Within a month, Lu Futong's forces continued to gain victories, capturing multiple cities. The Jianhui region, already influenced by the White Lotus Society, saw other rebel leaders rise in response. Su Shouhui from Qishui, now Shishui, Hubei, and Guozixing from Haozhou, now Fengyang, Anhui, joined the uprising under the Red Turban banner. Other rebels, like Zhang Shiqing in northern Jiangsu, also started their own movements without adopting the Red Turban insignia. In 1354, Yuan Shundi ordered his chancellor, Toto, to lead a massive campaign against Zhang Shiqing's uprising in Gaoyu. The Yuan forces, reportedly numbering 1 million, surrounded the city completely. Just as Zhang Shiqing's forces were on the verge of collapse, an internal power struggle erupted within the Yuan court. Yuan Shundi abruptly dismissed Toto, and without their commander, the massive Yuan army fell into chaos and disbanded. Seizing the opportunity, Lu Futong's northern rebels launched a major offensive and dealt a devastating blow to the Yuan forces. In February of the following year, Lu Futong brought Han Shantong's son, Han Lener, to Boizhou, now Bo County, Anhui, and declared him emperor of a new Song dynasty, giving him the title Little Ming King. With Han Lener as a figurehead, Lu Futong divided his forces into 3 northern expedition armies. The Western Army, led by Li Wu and Cui De, advanced into Shanxi, Gansu, Ningxia, and Sichuan. The Eastern Army, commanded by Mao Gui, marched through Shandong and Hebei, directly threatening the Yuan capital, Dadu, now Beijing. The Central Army, led by Guan Xinqing and Patu Pan, fought through Shanxi and into Liaodong, coordinating with the Eastern Army for an assault on Dadu. All 3 campaigns achieved significant victories. Mao Gui's Eastern Army even reached the outskirts of Dadu. Lu Futong personally led forces to capture Bianliang, now Kaifeng, Hunan, and brought Little Ming King to the city, making it the new capital. The Red Turban Army's momentum terrified the Yuan dynasty, prompting the government to rally local landlords and mercenaries to suppress the uprising. The northern campaign eventually suffered defeats. Bianliang fell back into Yuan hands, and Zhang Shiqing defected to the Yuan court in exchange for high-ranking positions. In 1363, after years of resistance, Lu Futong was killed in battle while protecting Little Ming King in Anfeng, now Shou County, Anhui. The Northern Red Turban Army, after 12 years of fighting, ultimately succumbed to defeat. 222. The monk who became a commander. While Lu Futong's Red Turban Army was fighting in the north, another faction of the Red Turban Army, led by Guozixing in Haozhou, was rapidly growing in strength. Guozixing was originally a wealthy landowner from Dingyuan, now Dingyuan, Anhui. However, because of his low social status, he was frequently harassed and extorted by corrupt local officials. Furious at their oppression, he joined the White Lotus Society. He used his wealth to host feasts, slaughter cattle, and befriend men of ambition, waiting for the right opportunity to rise against the corrupt officials and seek revenge. In 1352, the second year of Lu Futong's uprising, Guozixing saw that the time was ripe. He gathered 4 trusted friends and led thousands of young men in a nighttime assault on Haozhou. They stormed the city, killed the local governor, seized control, and declared a rebellion. Guozixing and his 4 comrades all took the title of Marshal, Yuanshui. The Yuan dynasty responded by sending General Kalabua to besiege Haozhou. However, Kelaboa feared the Red Turban Army and did not dare to launch a direct attack. Instead, he set up a fortified camp at a distance and resorted to capturing civilians outside the city to present as rebels in order to claim rewards from the court. The local villagers, suffering under Yuan oppression, fled into the city and joined Guozixing's forces, which continued to grow in number. One night, as the Red Turban soldiers patrolled the gates of Haozhou, a young monk arrived from outside, seeking to join the army. The gate guards, suspecting him to be a Yuan spy, immediately bound him and sent word to Guozixing. Upon hearing of the incident, Guozixing thought the monk might genuinely be a capable recruit. He personally rode to the gate to investigate. There, he saw a young man with tattered robes but an imposing build, thick eyebrows, and large eyes. Impressed by his appearance, Guozixing immediately ordered his release and took him back to his command headquarters. This young monk was Zhu Yuanzhang. Zhu Yuanzhang was the son of a poor farmer from Zhongli, now Fengyang, Anhui. When he was 17, a severe drought and locust plague struck northern Jianghuai, followed by a deadly epidemic. His parents and elder brothers succumbed to the illness, leaving Zhu Yuanzhang and his second brother alone, without even enough money for a coffin. Fortunately, kind neighbors helped them bury their parents. With no means to survive, Zhu Yuanzhang followed a neighbor's advice and sought refuge in a nearby Buddhist monastery, Huangjue Temple, where he became a novice monk simply to have food to eat. However, in reality, monastery novices were little more than servants. At Huangjue Temple, Zhu Yuanzhang worked from dawn till dusk, sweeping, offering incense, ringing bells, and cooking for the senior monks. His life was harsh and exhausting. However, even securing food at the monastery became difficult. The temple relied on tenant farmers paying rent and grain, but due to the widespread famine, there was no grain to collect. After just 50 days at the monastery, Zhu Yuanzhang faced starvation once again. The senior monks left in search of alms, and Zhu Yuanzhang was also sent out with a wooden fish and a begging bowl to wander through Huaishi, begging for food. For 3 years, he lived as a wandering monk, barely surviving on charity. Eventually, when conditions in Haozhou improved slightly, he returned to Huangjue Temple. A year later, the Red Turban Rebellion erupted. Zhu Yuanzhang frequently heard news about the uprisings. Lu Futong had taken Yingzhou, Sesame League had captured Xuzhou, and by the end of the year, even Haozhou had fallen to the rebels. Zhu Yuanzhang was well aware of the prophecy that Maitreya Buddha would descend to save the world. Now, seeing the Red Turban Army rise in rebellion and Yuan forces suffering defeat after defeat, he believed that the time had come for the oppressed to rise. With that thought, he left Huangjue Temple and went to Haozhou to join Guozixing's army. Guozixing was immediately impressed by Zhu Yuanzhang's eloquence and intelligence. He ordered him to shed his monk's robes, don a soldier's uniform, and serve as a personal bodyguard. Zhu Yuanzhang quickly proved his worth. He was not only brave in battle but also displayed keen strategic insight. Guozixing valued his counsel highly and consulted him before making major military decisions. Zhu Yuanzhang's reputation grew among the rebel ranks. Guozixing had a close friend surnamed Ma, who had died of illness the year Guozixing launched his rebellion. Before his death, Ma had entrusted his orphaned daughter to Guozixing's care. Guozixing took the girl home, where his wife, Lady Zhang, raised her as their own daughter. For some time, Guozixing had been looking for a suitable husband for her. Seeing Zhu Yuanzhang's potential, he discussed with Lady Zhang the possibility of marrying Ma's daughter to him. Lady Zhang readily agreed. Thus, the young monk from Huangjue Temple became the son-in-law of Marshal Guo, elevating his status significantly. Among the rebel ranks, he became known as Master Zhu. Within the Haozhou Red Turban Army, 5 commanders shared power equally, including Guozixing. However, the other 4 were undisciplined and held little regard for military order. Over time, conflicts grew. Guozixing became increasingly frustrated with them, and they, in turn, resented his authority. Eventually, the 4 conspired to marginalize Guozixing. At one point, they even attempted to kill him. Fortunately, Zhu Yuanzhang caught wind of the plot and managed to save his father-in-law. Realizing that the leadership of the Red Turban Army was plagued by internal divisions and short-sighted ambition, Zhu Yuanzhang decided to build his own power base. He returned to his hometown and began recruiting troops. His childhood friends, Su De and Tang He, upon hearing that Zhu had become a general, quickly joined him. Within 10 days, he had gathered 700 men. Later, he attacked Yuan forces and convinced many of their soldiers to defect, further strengthening his army. With a formidable force under his command, Zhu Yuanzhang established strict discipline and rigorous training, transforming his troops into a highly effective fighting force. At this time, a scholar named Li Shanchang, a man of great wisdom and strategic acumen, sought out Zhu Yuanzhang. Recognizing his talent, Zhu Yuanzhang appointed him as his chief advisor. One day, he asked Li Shanchang, "The whole country is in turmoil. When will peace return?" Li Shanchang replied, "At the end of the Qing dynasty, China was similarly engulfed in chaos." The founder of the Han Dynasty, Emperor Gaozu, Liu Bang, was of humble origins, but he was broad-minded, knew how to use talented people, and refrained from unnecessary killing. Within 5 years, he unified the empire. Now, with the Yuan government in shambles and the country collapsing, why not follow his example? From that moment, Zhu Yuanzhang resolved to model himself after Liu Bang. With his well-trained army, Zhu Yuanzhang launched a series of successful campaigns, capturing Chuzhou and Hezhou. In the same year that Little Ming King Han Liner declared himself emperor in Haozhou, Guo Zixing fell ill and died. Han Liner then appointed Guo Zixing's son, Guo Tianqiu, as commander-in-chief and Zhu Yuanzhang as deputy commander-in-chief. However, Guo Tianqiu lacked military experience, and most of the Red Turban officers were loyal to Zhu Yuanzhang. Although he was nominally the second in command, Zhu Yuanzhang held the true authority. Before long, while attacking Jiqing, now Nanjing, Jiangsu, Guo Tianqiu was killed by a traitor. Zhu Yuanzhang then assumed full command as the de facto commander-in-chief. Now in sole command, Zhu Yuanzhang led his army to a major victory against the Yuan navy and crossed the Yangtze River to attack Jiqing. The city's 500,000 residents and soldiers surrendered. Upon entering Jiqing, Zhu Yuanzhang issued proclamations to reassure the people and renamed the city Yingtian Prefecture. From that moment, he made Yingtian his base of operations, steadily expanding his control over southern China.